I own a fleet of 16-foot refrigeration freezer trailers. It's not really widely talked about because it's not an everyday thing, but when it happens, you need something now. If you're a restaurant, you have $20,000, $30,000 of food sitting in your freezer. If you don't get it figured out here in the next few hours, we're gonna have a problem. Some restaurants don't have a plan B. And so I kind of interject myself and say, well, hey, I have an option for you. This is my philosophy. Not everybody shares this, but it's helped me grow through the years, and not just this, but other things where, I think it's okay to have friendly competitors. So, you take the numbers and you take that and say, okay, well, if I have 7 trailers and I'm multiplying that by 7, what kind of revenue am I bringing in? If I'm bringing in 10, 10 trailers, what kind of revenue am I bringing in? So, some people can look at this as like, hey, it's an extra side hustle that I get. I bring in an extra couple grand a month, and that's it's great. I have it as a business, and I have aspirations to buy other trailers this year, and that's what we're gonna do. Like we're just gonna make it happen, and that's just it.
All right, Hustle fam. We are back with another amazing episode. And today, the riches are in the niches. That's my favorite saying. And today, I have somebody who exemplifies that. Anthony Durso. What's up, my brother? How are you, man?
Ramal, good to see you, my friend.
Hey, man, good to be seen all the way from San Diego.
Yeah. We're out of Temecula, California. Originally from Detroit. Been out here for 20 years now, and just living life and family and trying to build a business here.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good. Well, listen, if you're not rich already, Anthony, you definitely are gonna be, because this idea that you have is amazing. I love to, expose people to cool things that people are doing in the industry, and just really creative ways to leverage assets and, the different parts of this trucking industry. And when I came across you, man, I was like, oh, this is really cool. So I want to start this podcast by doing this, right? I was just kind of creeping along on your Google reviews,
Mhm.
and I just want to read this to our audience because this really gives great context to what you do. Here's a review from you guys on your page. It says, when our walk-ins went down at 2 different locations, we reached out for an emergency refrigeration trailer, and Cold Ass Trailers really came through for us. They responded quickly, delivered the trailers right away, and made sure everything was set up properly. The units were clean, reliable, and exactly what we needed to keep our products safe. All right, that's one. Cold Ass Trailers came to I recently used Cold Ass Trailers to help one of our restaurant clients who had a walk-in cooler breakdown. I couldn't be more impressed with their service. They responded quickly, arriving at the restaurant right away, which was crucial to prevent any loss of food inventory. Thanks to their swift action, the restaurant was able to stay open and continue serving customers without interruption. All right, this is just one more. If you run a pet store that carries raw, refrigerated, or frozen pet food, having a backup cold storage solution isn't optional, it's essential. That's why I recommend Cold Ass Trailers. Hold up. Our Chick-fil-A restaurant in Murrieta lost power for 2 days during Santa Ana winds. We experienced this season a couple weeks ago. At the restaurant, we needed a quick solution to keep our refrigerator and freezers items cool and frozen. Cold Ass Trailers responded with 2 trailers within 2.5 hours when I called them. All right. So the reason why I wanted to read some of those reviews, I apologize if it was a little long, but I wanted to just
keep them coming. Keep them coming. Read them all, dude.
Keep them all, right? Keep them coming.
Yeah.
But I wanted to show the audience how many different types of businesses you serve, which I think is really, really cool, and how many people use a service like yours. So if you could just explain to the audience what Cold Ass Trailers is and what you guys do, and then we're going to get into the story.
Yeah, sure. So Cold Ass Trailers is I own a fleet of 16-foot refrigeration freezer trailers. These trailers they're pull behind trailers. I pull behind by my truck, just like you would any camper. And these trailers go from 0 to 50 degrees. So you can use it. My customers will use it as a fridge or a freezer, just depending on the need. the customer. And the simplicity of it is that I pull it up to my customer. Um, I I back it in, and they only run off a 20 amp outlet. So as long as I have a dedicated outlet available of 20 amps, that's all I need. So they don't I don't need fuel. They're quiet. They're environmentally friendly. I don't charge for runtime or fuel like a uh, rider would. And so a lot more cost effective as well. And so my customers that'll use them are a lot of them are restaurants that um, have needs for extra cold storage. So it could be anything from walk-in cooler breakdowns, which are emergencies, power outages, especially here in Southern California. They turn the power off because of the fires, or other locations across the country where there's hurricanes, tornadoes, um, kitchen renovations. So I'll work with facility managers when they're doing um, scheduled renovations for their freezers that are walk-in coolers, and large events like Coachella or other festivals like that, where you're kind of off-site and you're going to be out at a food festival for 3 days or for a week, and you just need to have cold storage available. So you're not going back and forth, and so those are typically the customers I work with. But then there's other things where I'll work with florists because of Mother's Day and Valentine's Day. Those are their biggest days of the year. And so if you've ever been into a flower shop during those times, you see flowers outside the cooler for periods of time. And so if you're a florist, that's your that's your biggest um that's your biggest investment really for those 2 weeks. And so you need to be able to keep this cooler for longer. And if not, you lose your money, you lose out. So we were pretty busy for Valentine's Day. Um, Edible Arrangements reached out to us because they have those big fruit, bouquets that they need to keep cold. Um, so it's little things. I mean, and honestly, I kind of learn as I go too. Um, I've had I've I've had, um, I've had hospitals reach out to me because they're, where they the mortuary where they keep the bodies, their refrigeration went down. And so they wanted to know if we were willing to bring out trailers to take care of to take care of their situation. And so, I found a partner that was willing to go up there and do that. So, um, a variety of a variety of things. I just had a fairgrounds call me because they're having a s a sumo wrestling sushi, event. They need they need, cold storage trailers because the customer that they had, canceled on them. So,
Yeah.
a variety of things, festivals, yeah.
So it's really amazing how many different industries you kind of are able to intersect with and serve, right? That's what I think is a really cool thing about this business. You're basically outsourcing cold storage, right? Any business who has like some sort of cold chain that can't be broken, right?
Mhm.
They need you guys.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how you arrived at this business model. One, how long have you been in business, Anthony?
Well, so my company's been in business for a little over 3 years now. Um, my background is government contract management, and so, um, I've done that for probably about 13, 14 years now. And so the company that I worked with before, I was a director there, and we were just renting out equipment to the government all the time. And I still do to this day. It's not refrigeration trailers, it's other stuff, generators, modular buildings, shipping containers, a variety of things. But I got I got into it with just renting equipment. And so I like the long-term projects, and got involved with some restroom trailers. When I was with my past company, I started looking into that for a past company, and I went to a conference. It was a plumbers conference that had restroom trailers and shower trailers and laundry trailers, and it was a very blue collar conference. And I was there, and I was just by myself, and I was kind of looking around, and I noticed that I mean, there was a lot of people there. Don't judge a book by its cover. There was a lot of people there that there was a handful of people there looked like they couldn't rub two nickels together, but they were walking up to these booths and buying very expensive trailers. And so I just kind of sat there. And I was like, okay, there's a lot more money in this room than I ever knew of. And so it just kind of got me thinking, getting more involved in the trailer rental industry, but I wasn't quite sure what. And so kind of fast forward, I ran into a gentleman that I ended up selling some refrigerate or some restroom trailers to, and he was like, "Yeah, I just bought your restroom trailer today. I bought 3 refrigeration trailers." And I'm thinking the big 53-foot reefers that you see on the highway. And he's like, "No, no, no." He's like, "I own these 16-foot refrigeration trailers. I rent them out throughout Central California, and we keep busy, and especially during the summertime." And it just kind of fit what I was looking for. Um, I'm not handy, so I was not looking to have something where I was constantly turning a wrench on something, where I was constantly changing out filters and just maintenance all the time. I have a smaller office. I don't have a big yard to place these things, and so for me, I just wanted something that was easier to use, had a kind of a niche need for it, but and so ran into this, looked into it more, went to a conference, talked to just other individuals that do this across the country, and just told my wife to trust me. And we're gonna try something different. And, so we've been going at it since, man, and I enjoy it. I deal with new stuff all the time. Um, when I do a delivery at a restaurant, sometimes they feed me free. So that's that's one of the benefits.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
yeah, so and from that I'm growing, so I just hired a driver. I have a virtual assistant. I have an assistant here in my office, and so just getting the just getting the momentum is is nice to see. Just as a business owner, just to see like your proof of concept is is working. There is growth. Um, so that's encouraging.
100%. Okay, so your background is selling to the government. Tell me a
Mhm.
little bit more about that. When you were selling to the government, what type of commodities were you selling to the government again?
You know, we were providing service and we were providing services to the VA hospitals. Uh, Lawn maintenance, snow removal, window washing, pressure washing, stuff like that, and then we were renting equipment, so it could be anything from generators to shipping containers, office containers, modular buildings, uh, refrigerate or I'm sorry, and I've done refrigeration trailers, restroom, shower trailers, laundry trailers, stuff like that. It's porta potties, water tanks, just a variety of stuff.
Got you. So that kind of exposed you to just the idea of just renting as a service.
It opened up my eyes to the industry more. I wanted to get into the rental business more often, and then when I started my company little over 3 years ago, I have a mentor and an accountant, and both of them were like, "Hey, man, you guys are buying some stuff. You need write offs. You're running a business now. This is not someone else's company. This is your company, and so you got to take more of a you got to be at the tip of the spear on this and take control and own your equipment as opposed to just always releasing equipment, So, the margins that you make off of releasing equipment, it's okay, you know, and there's limited responsibility, which is great, but your profits are when you own it, when you can have that write off at the end of the year and, stuff like that. Now, granted, there's more responsibility, and we all know that, but, um, you know, the profits are way better.
Or healthier. So
The hea
so
the
this was
headaches are
prior
bigger too. Let's not get
for
this confused.
for
Oh,
sure.
but that's you run a business, this is not a shock.
So this discussion happened prior to you starting your trailer business, or this was
Yeah.
when okay, so
No, it started there and I have ADD, man. I got ideas for ideas, and so
You're like me.
yeah, which a lot of people can probably relate to. So I always have a couple things going on or a couple thoughts, and I just share them with people that I trust and and so yeah, this was going on for a bit, and starting a company, like you need to have someone in your corner that's done this before. Um, not necessarily the buddy that you go have beers with on a Saturday night. You need to have someone that's experienced this type of stuff, that is maybe a little bit older than you, that has gone through these pitfalls and have seen the success and stuff like that. And so those are the type of people that I've tried to kind of circle around to get advice. I certainly don't know everything, and I'm learning along the way, but I feel like I have a good I have good people around me that have either experienced that or have owned businesses before or currently running businesses that um, can give me some sound advice that I have to learn to take.
Yeah. What would you say is the biggest thing that selling to the government taught you before getting started in your own business?
Well, I mean, they're certainly the biggest buyer out there. That's for sure. There's always a need, and there's they they value good contractors that are just honest with them, not trying to rip them off because they think it's the government, and they think it's like you know golden toilets and the bathrooms and stuff like that. That's the
Right.
perception, and like yeah, there's money to be made. Let's not get it confused, but they just want someone that's not going to run from a problem, address it head on. I mean, your audience is the military, right? They're not going to sit there and just deal with excuses and excuse my language bullshit. Like just they just want to shoot me straight. Where are we at? What do we got to do? What's the problem? Let's address it. And I think that's been a big that's been pretty helpful for me. And just knowing just the bidding system and and just building relationships with manufacturers. Some of these manufacturers, they don't want to they want to get into government sales or business, but they don't know how to. Or they hear these horror stories of someone they knew that didn't get paid for 180 days or something like that, which is not accurate. Um, and so then there's somebody like, that me that comes along that has some experience that can say, hey, I can help fulfill some of these needs for the government with your product. And so it's just being willing to learn and just be a reliable resource, and get them paid on time.
Got it. Got it. Got it. So you took that communicative mindset, just kind of no BS attitude into your own business, and you started 3 years ago. And you said you talked to your wife. Your wife said, "Go ahead, take the leap." Tell me about the first thing you did when you got started.
So I have my government contracting company that I still have. But for the trailers itself, I was, um, I wanted to buy two of them, but I didn't have any business signed up yet. So I didn't want to just jump in and buy two of them and just sit and wait to like start a business. That didn't feel right. And so I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll buy one. And then I found this bid on for the Navy that they were looking for two of these exact same trailers that I was going to buy.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is perfect." Like, if I can land this contract, it was a 4-month rental, it was up in Washington State.
Now, this wasn't a cold storage. Was a cold trailer.
Yeah, it was the same one I have.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it was
Same
same ones
exact one that you. Okay. Got it.
yeah, the same ones I was gonna buy, same ones, exactly the same ones. So 16-foot Polar King trailers, and I was like, "Man, if I can win this contract, this would be huge for me because it would be a huge jumpstart for what I'm trying to do
It's
anyways."
ideal.
Yeah,
Exactly what you need at the time.
yeah, it was ideal, and so I figured out what they rent for, and then I knew what I was gonna buy them for, and, I I bid the project, like, as if I was gonna rent them, knowing I was gonna buy them, and, not only did I win the contract for 4 months, it got extended for another 5 months, so they
Oh
rented for
wow.
9 months, right like, right off the bat, which I knew I was I knew I was setting myself up for high expectations later on, but, I knew it wasn't the reality of this rental industry, but, so that was how I first started, And then from there, because I already had revenue coming in from from this contract, it allowed me to then start building relationships with other owners that have these kinds of trailers where I could start marketing my business to customers because I really did have trailers. I just didn't have them available at that time.
Right.
Mine. So I would just re-rent other trailers for like the first 9 months. So I was in this rental industry, but I didn't have any rent. I didn't have any
Hold on.
equipment.
So okay, so your 2 trailers that you actually purchased were being utilized by the government,
Yeah.
right? And then you said you started networking with other people who owned the same type of trailers and then
Yeah.
renting theirs. Did I get that right?
Yeah. So I would just, I feel like this is my philosophy. Not everybody shares this, but it's helped me grow through the years and not just this, but other things where, you know, I, I think, I think it's okay to have friendly competitors. I'm going to need them. They're going to need me. Their stuff breaks down. They need an extra trailer. I need an extra trailer. Like, let's just help each other out. Right. And so I don't have a lot of competition, but there are a few companies here in California that also do the same thing I do. And so just start building a relationship with them and talking shop and industry and say, hey, if I ever have a need for a refrigeration trailer, can I call you? Or hey, I just want to let you know if you ever are stuck and you need an extra trailer, you can always call me. And it was just kind of like just building that trust, and which allowed me to also learn about the industry too a little bit, you know? So I would get customers from Chick-fil-A or McDonald's or Raising Cane's. And sometimes I didn't have enough, sometimes I didn't have any trailers. So I would just, but they were calling me.
Right, right.
So I,
So you're building your book of business. You don't have the actual capacity, but you can get the
right,
capacity. You could
for
yeah.
sure, for sure. Yeah. And so then I started re-renting out trailers. And then eventually I said, I'm making making my competitors money. I should buy a third. Yeah. So, so I bought a third
Now let me
trailer.
ask you a question. Does your competitor know who you're renting these trailers to? Or are you just renting the trailer from them and then going back to
Yeah.
the end user? Or are you, like, connecting the dots to where they can go to them directly if they wanted to cut you out?
No, I don't. No. They know. Well, yeah, they deliver them, so they know where they're going to.
They know where they're going. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but the relationship is with me. It's not with and the relationship is higher up within the company. It's not the manager at that location.
Understood.
So, um,
So it makes sense for them to go through you because they couldn't necessarily land that contract. It would take some work to be able to do that.
yeah, yeah, and those relationships are just built off trust and taking care of them, and it's not always you know can I get you a trailer? Can I get you a trailer? Can I get you a trailer? Like, if you don't need it, you don't need it. I can't
Right.
sell you on something you don't have a need for. But it's saying, "Hey, I have another contractor that you might have a need for. Let me introduce you." Or, "Hey, I think this can help you in your career through my networking group. Let me introduce you." So, the relationships I was getting with these restaurants wasn't always like, sure, it was, yes, I'm performing, yes, I have a need and stuff like that, but for me, it was more important for me to say, "How can we help each other? And how can I help you grow? How can I help you have a better resource of contractors that you can trust? How can I help your career grow?" And so that has seemed to help through the years for me, not just in this, just in other stuff where it can't just be a one-way street. Like, it's like we're all trying to grow together, and I found that that's just the best way to be successful. But to kind of go back, I've I have I feel like I have a good enough relationship with my competitors that because we do talk where I think there's an unknown, or there's an unspoken word that not to approach the
We just
people
don't
that.
poach customers. We don't do that.
Yeah, we're not poaching customers. Like, we're helping each other out. We've helped each other out a lot. And so I think there's just I don't know. I don't even feel like I need to even talk to them about it. Like,
Understood.
you
Understood.
we're
So
grown ass men. We have to have that conversation.
so I mean, I think that's extremely smart that you built it that way as opposed to feeling like you had to have the actual equipment to fulfill every order. It's like, hey, let me leverage my network and let me go ahead and be the salesperson. Let me sell, but then I can go ahead and leverage my network to go ahead and fulfill these needs for these customers. So I
Yeah,
think that was great because it allowed you to build a book of business, right? Even though you didn't necessarily have the capacity at the time.
for sure, man. It gave me it gave me a 9-month runway to learn and to kind of figure out, okay, who do I talk to? What do I have? And meanwhile, I still had money coming in. So I was very lucky. It's not always like that. It's just that the circumstance presented itself. Um, but that's how I got started.
Okay. So let me ask you, when you built that 9-month runway, who were you talking to? Who did you approach first? What did you see as the your target audience or the customer that you thought would be best fit for your service?
So restaurants was gonna be number 1. And so when um and I knew it was like, as a company, you wanna try to network as much as possible. And, it I was always involved with the Chamber of Commerce in my cities, just doing a variety of other stuff, not so much government stuff, but just other careers in the past. And when I got these, I was like, "Well, maybe I should join the chamber." And I was kinda looking at the roster of who was in there, and there's nobody really in there that I could be a benefit to, except for one guy. And this one guy was the president of the Chamber of Commerce, and he owned a local Chick-fil-A. And so I approached him. I told him who I was and what I do, and he was like, "Man, where were you a couple months ago when I needed you?" And so from there, I was like, "Oh, uh,
It's a good
tell me
thing to
more,"
hear.
you know?
Yeah, yeah, do
And
tell.
yeah, and he's a super great person that is in our community that is just very helpful. And I told him what I was trying to do, and he's like, "You know what? I think that um, if I introduce you to the other owners here in Southern California, I think that'd be a great thing for you." And so he did. And then from there, I was able to realize who the kind of the decision makers are who order these trailers, for these restaurants. And so, and then from there, you know, I was getting more with with facility operations because they're the people that, when something goes down, they know they got to jump, they got to figure it out. And so it's getting involved with them more. It's getting involved with, um, uh, like the, um, the fairgrounds. They always have events at the fairgrounds. So they always have needs, there's always something going on. So that's who I just really started calling on. And then from there, I just started asking, I was inquisitive. I just started asking open-ended questions because I needed to learn too.
Right.
Who else should I talk to? And so that's how I just kinda just started kind of figuring out who to talk. Schools, every school has a food nutrition program. So to me, every school is a restaurant. Every school has a kitchen, right? And if you're in this, like, I'm here in Temecula, I think there's 35 schools. Well, there's 35 restaurants. And that doesn't include the charter schools, right? And so this refrigeration goes down sometimes. The power does go out. This happens. And so it's not really widely talked about because it's not an everyday thing, but when it happens, you need something now. Like, I don't have time to figure it out and, well, maybe I'll take it over there and I'm not quite sure. If you're a restaurant, you have $20,000-$30,000 of food sitting in your freezer. If you don't get it figured out here in the next few hours, we're gonna have a problem. And
No.
so that's kind of where the, uh, the emergency comes in where, I'm a small company, so I can pick up my truck and I can go. And some of the bigger companies, they want you to pick it up. They want you to pick up their truck or I can't get there till tomorrow, or we're not open on the weekends, and that becomes the issue.
Yeah, so what's really interesting is when you had that conversation with the gentleman from Chick-fil-A, he said that, "Where were you, whatever, 3, 9, whatever months ago," he said, right?
Mhm.
"When we needed you." So what's really interesting about that is you almost created created something for them that there was an like, it's very surprising that they don't have a backup plan already in place, right? For
Well,
that.
they so they d restaurants do kind of.
Okay.
So they have said, well, so these trailers are kinda newer to the market. There there's not a lot, the go-to is always, well, we call Ryder, and nothing against Ryder, it's just a nationally known company. Well, we
Yep.
call Ryder, and we have a 26-foot truck, but we have to go pick it up, and then they charge us for gas, they charge us for runtime, and, it takes up a huge spot in our parking lot, and or we get a big one of the companies like, "Well, we got a 53-foot reefer, but we used, like, 20% of it, but it sat in our parking lot for a month, and it just took up space and fuel, and it was just a huge hassle." And so, these 16-foot trailers are basically they're 16 by 6 or 16 by 7, which is basically the size of a walk-in cooler at any restaurant. It's pretty close. And so, it seems to fit that mold for restaurants really good because it's it's almost identical to a restaurant walk-in cooler. And
Mm.
so that was the one thing that surprised me was, well, what's the if your power goes out, what are you gonna do? Oh, yeah, and I
They
was
scramble.
they scramble. That we don't have a generator. We don't have, we put dry ice. I'm like, I don't think the food department is gonna be totally cool with that.
Right.
And, well, that's not for me to get involved with, but, and so that was the surprising thing is some, not all, some restaurants don't have a plan B. And so I kinda interject myself and say, "Well, hey, I have an option for you, and this is gonna keep your food cold. I can get there within hours. My trailers are temperature controlled, so I always know what the temperature is, but you know what the temperature is. And if the food department ever wants to come in and take a look and see, well, show me the temperature of these trailers where this food is at, I can show you a report."
Yeah.
And so there's that sense of calmness where they say, "Hey, okay, not only am I getting taken care of, I can keep my doors open, I'm not gonna lose all my inventory, and I can I can cover myself if someone starts asking questions." So,
100%. It's a
yeah,
huge cost savings, and just like you said, in terms of compliance and everything, it solves a major pain point, especially in the restaurant industry.
yeah, yeah, and so, yeah. And I don't know, it kinda fits my personality. I like helping people, and I was kinda joking I should wear a Superman cape when I arrive to be the superhero, and I stopped asking, how are things going today? I know how things are going. It's
Right,
you're
right.
calling me, so I need to change that.
Exactly,
I need to change
exactly.
how I address
So
these
so
people.
let me ask you, typically, how long do you have your trailers rented, or, do your customers typically use your trailers? And I know you service a lot of different types of industries, but let's just take, restaurants, for example. And how do you work that in terms of, like, projecting and financial models and understanding how you're gonna be able to utilize these trailers and make whatever, goals and targets you're trying to hit?
Yeah, so, for me, I have a 3-day minimum that I rent out the trailers for. Um, Typically, a customer's gonna on average, like, a week rental is pretty average.
Okay.
Um, I have some customers that'll say, "Hey, I'm just doing a little quick, preventive maintenance thing at my restaurant. I just need it for 3 days or 2 days or 1 day." And I said, "Well, I rent it for 3 days, so it's gonna be 3 days." And
So you
they
have a
normally need
minimum
it.
to cover that, right?
Yeah, but,
No 1 day, one off unless it's an emergency, I guess. I don't know. How would you handle that?
I found that there's never just a one-day need,
Yeah, it's true.
especially when you're doing maintenance. Like, yeah, it might be fixed, like, you might have fixed it on Monday, but you still need to make sure that it took on Tuesday or Wednesday to make sure that you don't just move all the food back and then you realize it didn't work and you gotta move it back again. So, it's a 3-day minimum, and that's just what it is. But most of them are a week, on average. I have some customers that are doing grand openings that they'll rent it for a month or 2 because of the initial rush of that restaurant that they just don't have enough cold storage. And so, because of all the hype for that new grand opening, they'll rent it for a couple months. Um, and so, yeah, it could be those are great too, you know?
Got it. So you basically set it and forget it for the most part. What are some of the challenges? What happens that you have to is there any service, any maintenance? What are you doing during that month that you're leaving the trailer there at that property?
You know, there's limited maintenance that we need to do with the trailers. I mean, the trailer itself is minus the refrigeration unit. It,
It's
there's
a trailer.
we we keep it clean.
It's
You know,
floorboards and panels and
pretty
yeah.
much, yeah. There's really not much to it. We keep it clean on the outside. We keep it clean on the inside. I offer shelving for some of my customers when they need it. It's just sometimes we have to clean the coils out for the refrigeration unit. The good thing is that, and one of the things, there's a couple of the reasons why I got involved with it, which I'll get into with, but um, you know, some of these other trailers, these refrigeration trailers, there's new rules going into place in California. I don't know, maybe across another place across the country where they have to have new types of refrigerant that is going to be coming into these reefer trailers here in the next few years, which means they're going to have a new cooling system. My trailers don't require that, and so the refrigerant doesn't need to be charged all the time. It's just making sure that the condenser is working properly. So just cleaning it out, cleaning out the vents, stuff like that. It's really low maintenance. Um, some of the issues that I run into with the trailers, and one of the reasons why I got um, a temperature monitor is because there have been cases. So they're electrical, right? So I need to make sure that I'm plugging this in the right spot where the circuit isn't going to trip. And so if it trips and no one knows,
It's a problem.
it's a problem, right? And
Right.
so my monitors will tell me exactly when when it loses power. It doesn't happen often. It's very infrequent that this happens, but ha- stuff happens, right? So I can call the customer immediately and say, "Hey, something happened over there. I need you to go check it out." And sometimes it's like, "Oh, we plugged in something to the outlet or something, s- you know, something happened with in that
Yeah.
case." It's a rare occurrence, but I'd be lying to you that said that it hasn't happened before. Um, you know, so sometimes you go to these fast food restaurants, man, they're not in the safest areas in the world. So, I mean, I've had some bums steal the cord right out of the outlet and just
Oh,
walk off
man.
with it. And it wasn't like no shame. Like they watched them on the video camera because I saw it. I saw
Yeah.
the alarm go off. My I got notified it lost power. How this thing how this thing lose power? It's been running for 2 weeks. It just doesn't turn off. And they're like, someone stole your cord. So I'm like, okay, you got to run to Home Depot and you got to get another cord.
Right.
So that again is a rare occurrence. Rarely do we have issues, but I don't know, man, shit happens sometimes. Like,
So
um,
let me ask you, what type of liability do you assume?
well, so I mean, I have a general liability. I have an inland marine policy. So if it gets stolen, everything's covered. I have in my, I mean, I do have in my agreement that I'm not liable for any lost inventory in the trailer. Um, when I left there, it was working, and we signed off that it was working. So what happens when I leave? I mean, you can't point the finger at me because someone unplugged it.
Right.
Someone did something
Right.
in that we were told not to do. Those are not my responsibilities, and
That's
so
true. But
so
machines do fail.
they do. They do, and so I have other, like I said, I have other trailers. I mean, let's put it this way: if I get a call that the trailer's not working, well, first of all, just like any refrigeration or freezer, it'll maintain temperature for a while if you
That's true.
if you don't open the door. Like if you ever lost power at your house, you know that you can go a period of time. If you don't keep on opening the freezer or the fridge, it'll still
Right.
it'll still maintain a level of coolness. Um, but if I need to bring another trailer out, if it's my fault and my equipment's not working, I'll bring another trailer out. That's also one of the reasons why I have made sure that I have friendly competitors because I'm going to need their help sometimes, right? Just like they've needed my help. And so, When I talk to customers, I can confidently say, I can always get you something because I know my
Got
network.
it. Okay. In terms of pricing, do you charge differently based on industry, or is it a flat rental fee across the board, whether you're putting a body or food in there?
Well, I will tell you that I have
No,
not
I
put
didn't
any
mean to be
body
morbid when I said a body, but you said you work with mortuaries to restaurants,
I have
so
not put any bodies in my trailer. I have not they have never been in my trailer.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
This
I'm just messing
cold
with
ass
you.
trailers has never had any dead bodies in their trailer.
Nobody's in trailers. I'm just
Um,
messing with you. I was trying
no,
to get the most
but you know what though?
extreme case, right?
No, for sure, but that is a customer base. That is a small customer base. Like, so for example, I'll touch on this and then I'll move on to the real question. When they had the hurricanes in Asheville, North Carolina last year, right? And there was, I think, what, 30, 40 people that died. Um, where are you gonna put these where are you gonna put these people at, right?
Yeah,
And so there were customers, there were hospitals calling other trailer cold storage trailer rental companies. COVID, we saw this very frequently.
100%.
So it's not the market I go after, but there's a need. So,
100%.
yeah.
So I'm
What was the
assuming
original question? I forget.
no, no, I'll get back to the question, but I'm assuming if you did go after that market, you'd probably use separate trailers for that particular customer than you'd use for your Chick-fil-A's, right? I don't think the bodies in the chicken is gonna go in the same trailer.
No, it would not. It would it would not. It would not. Um, I'd kill that industry. Sorry, dad joke.
Right,
Yeah,
literally.
no, I would not, no, I wouldn't put it and I've thought about this too because some people have said, "Hey, you should do that." I'm like, maybe for non-perishable good, like, I would not put food in there. I would
Right,
not.
right.
But again, there's other companies, I can't speak for them that, they run their
Throw it
business a little
all
bit
in the
different.
trailer, man.
That's them. I if I hey, that's how they run their business. I respect the way they run their
Yeah,
business. It's just,
100%.
you know,
So back to my question. My question was, would you price your service differently based on industry and your customer? Or is it
I
a
don't
flat fee across the board?
it's a flat fee across the board. It's a need, right? You're calling me out because you have a need. And the need doesn't change whether it's flowers or food or, pet food or whatever. I mean, the only thing that would change is if you need, like, I put in shelving in my trailers when they need it. So I'll rent out the shelving. I'll rent out a generator. So it's just additional streams of revenue that you
I
can
was
just.
just gonna ask you that next. How do you is there any way to upsell or add additional streams of revenue vertically to this business? So go ahead, talk about it.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll talk to them about shelving is and what they need. I mean, there is a benefit. Obviously, you're especially for flowers, right? You can't just put flowers on top of flowers on top of flowers. You have to have some type of shelving to keep them fresh and to keep them proper. And so that's that's a need for them sometimes. Um, but when we're working with edible arrangements, you can't put all these bouquets on top of each other, So they put um all the food that was already done in the refrigerator so that the delivery drivers would just go in the refrigerator, pick up what they needed, and then go to the delivery. So that was their external refrigeration unit. So, but no, I don't charge any different. That's just me. If there's like, hey, I mean, if you're calling me on a Friday night at 9 o'clock and you need something, I will be there. Is there maybe an extra fee that goes into that? Because these are not ideal hours. It's quite possible, but you will get
Right.
a trailer. And that would only really be it. So,
Do you find that does that happen often? Like, does a lot of your business come from those type of kinda off-peak hour calls where an emergency happens, or is it normally pre-planned?
a majority of my business is emergency business. It's not necessarily off peak. Um, sometimes it is, but like most of the time it's during the day or it's in the morning when they come in and they see that there's something happened overnight. And so I'll get that call and say, "Hey, we might have a need here soon." Or sometimes it's like, "When can you get here?" The price is not even a discussion. Um, it's how fast can you get here? And so, you know, I got involved in this because I know there's gonna be emergencies. Stuff happens, and so, you serve your customers and you provide a service. Um, now I really enjoy the scheduled ones because I can, I still have a family too. And
Right.
so, I mean, my wife is very, patient with this, and she knows that I do have to take phone calls, and sometimes I do have to go to a delivery on a Saturday morning or something like that, and I try to work around the family schedule, and now I have a driver, so that takes the pressure off me a bit, but, you know, um, my wife's been great about this, and she knows it's what I signed up for. It's not what she signed up for, but it's just this kind of where we're at. And so, but yeah, so most of it's emergency stuff. Some of it's planned. Um, but I'm trying to get more planned business. You know, your Valentine's Day, your Mother's Day, your St. Patrick's Day. All the Irish pubs very busy. You gotta need extra cold storage. So these types of things, you can get you can see, where are these concert festivals at? Who are the promoters? You can sometimes if if you do your homework, you can see like, okay, who was the vendor there last year? Okay, well, they're probably gonna be a vendor there this year, right? So if I can call them 2 or 3 months in advance and start that conversation, that's you can pre-plan this stuff and it's not like stress where you gotta drop everything and you gotta get out to Palm Springs, which is an hour and a half for me, but, that's just what it is sometimes.
Yeah. If I were to look at your financial model and or maybe your budget for the year, what are like some of the key performance indicators that you look at for growth and success to know that you're on plan and to know that you're growing the way you want to grow and you're hitting the numbers you want to hit?
Um, that's a good question. So, I mean, I think my company's growing just so I will probably I have a difficult time delegating responsibilities as a business owner, and that's on me, you know, and so in my and my assistant knows this, and so it's always been very difficult for me through the years to delegate responsibilities, and as it was my mindset, and this was not the right. I'm not correct saying this, but this is what happens. Sometimes it's like if I don't do it, it's not going to get done right. That's not
That's
correct.
how you feel.
That's how
Right.
I feel sometimes, but that's not correct, and that doesn't reflect on anybody that works with me.
For
But
sure.
but that's just that's just me, and then through the years of owning the business, I've had to take that stress off me and just trust that people will do certain things that you give them tasks to do. And so the more need was coming up, which was stressful, but also was an indicator that there's a bigger need here for these trailers. So just the key indicators is, for me, the calls that I get coming in, the networking that, I might not like it, I reached out to a fairgrounds. They never take my call. They called me today because they have, something happened, right? So
Right.
I guess the key indicator, I don't have a magic, like it's probably not the best answer, but just the key indicators are just the volume of calls that I get that are starting to increase,
So
right?
sales, you're
Yeah.
you're looking at your sales performance,
Yeah. So now
the
I've hired a,
outbound compared to your closing and so forth.
yeah. So like I've just hired a virtual assistant where she's going to be making calls to customers just to get that topic,
Awareness?
just to get that awareness out there, right?
Yeah,
And
because
then
typically you're not gonna close anybody on that call, right? You're just letting them know that you exist. That's
I've
the whole
never
goal.
closed anybody on a call like that. Like, I mean,
'Cause
if you
I
don't
mean,
need it,
they don't need you right away in most
yeah,
cases, right?
absolutely. They don't need me right away. And I understand that. I know that. It's just more of, hey, I know you're gonna have a need sometimes at these times during the year. I just want to call and introduce myself, and this is what I have, and this is how I can help you out. And then, hey, what are you currently doing for cold storage right now? Oh, well, we use this company, or oh, we don't really use anything, but we really needed it last year. Um, or we used a company, but then they canceled on us last minute, and then we had to scramble around, and that happens. That happens more times than you would think. Um,
Yeah.
so it's just really like just gathering information and, you know, so that would be my answer is just seeing the volume coming up. But, um, I like being in front of people though too. I like networking. I've joined networking groups for operations, restaurants that, uh, I feel being in front of people is super important, man, and I think that's just kind of it's just really easy to shoot a text or send, an email, but I wanna get in front of people, like, I wanna see you, like, I wanna understand what you go through, like, put me in your arena, and I think people appreciate that, because they see I'm a human being and they see I'm out here hustling and trying to make things happen, and I think people appreciate that, and I think it's a lot more relatable. I've certainly have gotten business from LinkedIn and other stuff, but when you sit there and you look someone in the eye and you hear their pain point and you know that I have a resource that can solve your pain point, now we're talking about real stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think that's been, and I'm going to a conference here in a few weeks. I'm really excited about, and get in front of a lot of
What's
decision
that?
makers.
What's that conference?
It's the Restaurant Facility Management Association, which
Okay.
is a bullseye for me.
That's the one. And I think
That's-
that's gonna lead into my next question after this question I'm gonna ask you.
Yeah,
And just, as much as you can share on this, how much would you charge, or give me a range of what you can charge to rent a cold storage trailer out? You don't have to tell us your exact price, but just a range so the audience could get an idea of what you can actually charge and bill. And
yeah,
then if there's any like accessorial like charges you can charge on top of that, just give us an idea of what the financials look like.
yeah. Sure, man. I'll share with what I have. It's different from different regions, but if you're renting my trailer for a month, I charge $3,600. If I'm renting it for a week, it's 1,500. And if I rent it for, 3 days, it's 975. That's what I charge. You can go to other regions, might be a little bit higher. You can go into other locations, might be a little bit lower, but that doesn't include delivery, that doesn't include a generator. Sometimes generator is needed. Um, that doesn't include shelving, stuff like that. So, and sometimes, um, a 3-day rental turns into a 1 week, and I've had a 1 week turn into 1 month. They're like, "Hey,
Yeah.
can I keep it for another week?" I'm like, "I'm a rental company. You can keep it as long as you want." And they're like, "Is it
You don't have
okay?"
to
I'm like
ask,
I'm like, "It's alright." Um, but that's what I charge. But, you take that and you multiply it by, especially in the summertime. Summertime's gets busy. Christmas gets busy. Thanksgiving gets busy. Thanksgiving, there's these churches are doing turkey giveaways, right? Well, they gotta put them somewhere, and churches don't have a huge cold storage capacity, right? So these holidays are to get busy for us. Um, so you take the numbers and you take that and say, okay, well, if I have 7 trailers and I'm multiplying that by 7, what kind of revenue am I bringing in? If I'm bringing in 10, 10 trailers, what kind of revenue am I bringing in? So, some people can look at this as like, hey, it's an extra side hustle that I get. I bring in an extra couple grand a month, and that's great. You know, I have it as a business, and I have aspirations to buy other trailers this year, and so and that's what we're gonna do. Like we're just gonna make it happen, and that's just it. It's like I read this book called Burn the Ships, and I don't know if you're familiar with it, but
I
it,
am, but go ahead, talk about it.
yeah, burn the ships. It's just a mindset. It's like it's the captain that's on the boat that he has all his people in the boat that they're gonna attack this island, and he tells all of his soldiers, he's like, okay, when we get on this island and we attack this island, we're burning the boat because we're not going back. There is no plan B. So focus on plan A and make plan A work. Because if you give yourself a plan B, it's very easy to fall back on that plan B. Like, well, I won't, it's like if you're working out, you're like, well, I don't have to go today. It's cold outside. I'll go tomorrow, you know? But if you don't have it, like, if you commit and you're in it, you don't have a plan B. So you burn the boat.
Yeah.
You have to give yourself another option. And so that's just kind of the mindset that I feel like you have to have sometimes, man. It's you know, it's not easy running a business. It's just not. It's great sometimes, and like there's sometimes where I feel like I made a really good decision, and there's times where I sit there and put my hand in my head. I'm like, holy cow, what did I get myself into? You
When are
know,
those times?
um, those times where it's like, man, I'm no different than anybody else with a small business, man. I got money coming in, I got money coming out, I got a house, I got a family. You know, like if there's any small business out there listening to this, and they've never had a situation where you're sitting there saying, "Oh, what did I get myself into? What am I doing?" Like you're not trying hard enough. Like like
That's right.
I've never met one small business owner. They're like, "Yeah, everything's great, like all the time." I'm like, bullshit, you know. And so, but that's just part of the hustle, man. And I think there's a lot to be said about, um, I think that listening to yourself and dealing with mental health and dealing with physical health is really important for business owners, because like we always hear oh, we got to hustle, we got to grind, we got to get out there, we're not sleeping, we're eat, kill what we eat, blah, 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 blah. Like all that is true to a point. Like, yeah, you got to hustle. Yeah, you got to build this business. But, like, you got to take care of yourself too. And I think a lot of people kind of gloss over that. It's really easy to wake up at 5 in the morning, make a cup of coffee, get in front of your computer at 5:30, and just work all day because I got to hustle. I got to make it happen. I got to make it happen. But it's like, well, what are you doing for yourself? Like, are you getting out in the morning and are you getting some fresh air? Are you working out in the morning? Are you surrounding yourself with other like-minded people that just want to get better in life? Are you eating right? And so I think that's really important that people like listening to this need to really do for themselves. Like you need time for yourself. Maybe it's 20 minutes, maybe it's a half hour. Maybe just go put on a backpack with some weight on it. You just go go hike in the neighborhood. Go find a trail and just be in the moment. I've um I joined a men's workout group here a couple years ago, locally here, and they have chapters all across the country. It's called F3, Fitness, Faith, and Fellowship. And this group is only for men. It's a men's only workout group, and we work out outdoors 7 days a week at multiple locations, outdoor parks, and it's free for all men. And we all take turns leading the workout, and um, we have fun doing it. We bring our music out there. We have a good time. We push each other, you know. But at the end of the workout, we have this circle of trust that we all get in, right? And it's an arena that we allow ourselves. We give an open arena for a platform for guys to talk.
To be
What's on your
vulnerable.
mind? Like it's a kind of a safe space, right? What's going on at the house? What's going on with your marriage? What's going on with the kids? What's going on at work? Like, mentally, like, where are you at? Going through depression? Like, did you lose somebody recently? Like, what's going on? So it's but you share the good things too. Like, "Hey, I got a promotion," or, "My wife's pregnant," or, "My daughter's got accepted to college," and, it's a way to share that too, but to have, and for women, like, women need this w women have to have this too, and they're a lot more they've always find, other women to, like, have these conversations with, right? They always were able to
Sister
do that a lot.
circles and all that
Yeah,
good stuff.
but guys have a hard time doing that, right? Like, it's hard to, as a man, to sit there and, like, admit that maybe things aren't good, or maybe I am depressed, or maybe I am going through this stuff, and I feel like that's helped me just to kinda get through the day. Sometimes, you wake up 5:30, get out there at 5:30 in the morning, you hustle your ass for 45 minutes, get a good workout in, and, you start your day, and people need that, and, so if for anybody out there that is just feels like you need to take a mental break, man, I encourage everybody to get outside. Like, go take a hike. Get with other people that are like-minded people, not your buddy that you go drink with on Saturday nights. I'm talking about other people that have no financial, um, gain by telling you what they think you should do. And those are the people that you need to have in your back pocket. Those are the people that you need to be that, like, okay, these are like-minded people where they're family people and they're doing the right thing in life. And, so I think we all have friends that, our wives are like, "Is there anybody else that you can go golfing with today other than that guy?" I'm like, "But he's fun,"
Right.
but that's not the guy I would sit there and be like, uh, ask, his opinion on. It's just
Yeah,
not. And so
yeah.
I feel like it's something important that I wanted to talk about. And, yeah, so F3 Temecula's been great for me. And
I
I
love
encourage
is
everybody
that
to.
nationwide or is that just in Temecula?
Yeah, it's nationwide. So
F3?
if you go to F3 Nation, they have chapters all across the country. Um, all across the country. Started in North Carolina, and they have pop-up chapters all across the country. And so, you know, we run workouts in a rotating fashion, right? So everybody gets a chance to run the workout, which also grows leadership too. And so, you know, everyone's really supportive of what we're doing out there. And it's just good, especially like, especially people that are traveling, like truckers that are listening to this, that they're traveling. You know, there's locations all across the country. We can sit there and say, okay, yeah, I'm going to be in Atlanta today and I need to get a workout in, but I'm going to Greenville, uh, in 2 days. Well, is there a chapter there? And they can look on the map. Oh yeah, there's a chapter there. I can see what time they work out. Okay. And I can see where they're going to be at, and I got to go to Norfolk on Sunday. Well, do they have a chapter there? Oh, they got a ruck going on Sunday morning. Great. So I think especially for this audience where they're on the road a lot, if you're driving a truck all day, you're pretty stagnant,
Sure.
so just getting out and just getting some fresh air and just being around other guys. It's not that you just need to be a dude sometimes, man. You just need to hang out with some dudes, man, and just be a dude.
For sure, for sure. No, I love it, man. I'm very happy that you brought that up. That is very important. That's something that we don't often take the time to talk about and discuss is just mental health and just making sure that we're okay, man. Because number one, we're men. We have a lot on our shoulders. Taking care of our families, being a provider and a protector. And then when we take on these other things like business and so forth, it can be a lot.
It
It
is,
can
man.
definitely be a lot, and a lot of times we suffer in silence, right?
No, that
Because
sorry, go ahead.
yeah. No, I was saying because, that's what a lot of times we're taught that men are supposed to do, right? We just deal with it.
Yeah,
But that doesn't always pan out in
you're
a successful way.
you're right, man. Yeah, it's like running a business is very gratifying, but it's stressful too. I enjoy what I do, so, like, I'm not complaining, I'm not whining about it. Like, I knew what I was getting well, I kinda knew what I was getting myself into, but
Kinda.
but, I knew it wasn't gonna be easy.
Yeah,
But yeah, so, like, you gotta run a business, and you gotta have, employees, and you have to do the work thing, but, like, you gotta be dad too. You gotta be husband, you gotta take care of the stuff that's around the house, either there's other things, and I'm not saying, like, I'm any worse off than my wife, she has responsibilities too, but women are just a lot better at talking about it, and guys just are like, "No,
for
man,
sure.
cool." And, I think when you start to talk about certain things to other people, you realize, like, you're not alone. You
Yeah,
they got their stuff too, and a lot of times when you start getting into a conversation, you're like, "Oh, I thought I was the only person." Like, "No, there's 3 other
right.
guys that went through that too, and here's my experience going through that." So, yeah.
I love that, man. I love that. Well, I appreciate that, man.
There's
Thank you
one
for
in
that
Philly too, dude.
transparency. What's that?
There's one in Philly now. So now you
Is there
gotta
one in Philly?
they're all over the place, man, I'm telling you.
Okay. No,
Yeah,
I'm definitely gonna check it out. I love the it sounds great. It sounds like something I'd definitely be a part of. I mean, I work out, I go to the gym, I do boxing a little bit as well. So I'm into that kind of stuff, like kind of
yeah.
having these little outlets for myself. So I would be into something like that, man.
Alright,
And
well,
I love to run my mouth. So I
anybody yeah, I hear a lot of people like you, Ramel, that they come to our workout and they're like, "Oh, yeah, man, I lift weights, dude. Yeah, yeah, blah, blah, blah." And then, like, 20 minutes into it, they're like, "Dude, I am gassed." Like, I'm way back.
That that would be me. That would be me. I mean, "Oh, man, I never lifted like that before," you
You gotta
know?
start somewhere, man. It's all good. But no, everyone supports each other. Like we don't we leave no man left behind, and so we're always there to support each other. And there's it's not a meathead group. We're
Got
all
it.
there for each other because we're there for the support. So
Alright, I'll check it out. You guys make sure you go, Google F3,
F3 Nation,
F3
man.
Nation, you said?
Yeah,
F3 Nation and
yeah.
see what, Anthony's talking about.
There you go.
Alright, let's start to put a ribbon on this thing, man. So,
Yeah,
where are we at? Okay, questions. So just a few more questions for you about the business. About how many hours a day do you work? Since we're talking about the balance of work-life balance, how
yeah.
many hours do you put into this?
I'm working Monday through Thursday, just like normal hours, right?
Yep.
I work Friday morning until about noon, and I give a couple hours, like about 3 hours that I dedicate to my wife and I, where we just have
Some
alone time
time?
before our daughter comes home. So it's just have dinner, have lunch together. Sometimes we just sit there and just watch a show together because it never happens when you have kids. Like,
Yeah, for
uh,
sure.
but
And most of that time is spent sales calls or less like managing relationships. What are you doing with that time?
yeah, and then on the weekends too. Like there's deliveries on the weekends. There's you know, stuff that comes up on the weekends. So, I'm always available on the weekends too. Stuff comes up, emergencies, issues. Yeah, I'm making sales calls, um, sending out email blasts, just networking. And like I said, I mean, I do other stuff too with my government contract. So
Yeah,
it's not like my focus isn't 100% on cold ass trailers, but it's definitely a part that there's definitely a segment that I'm growing on. So like I do have another company with my government contract stuff. So it's so I have to put attention into that too. But yeah, I mean I'm waking up early in the morning, I'm working later at night, and but I'm also making sure that I get some time for myself and my family and stuff like that. So it's it's no different than run a business, man.
yeah. It is
So
what it is.
yeah, it is
L
what it is, and
Let me ask you this because I didn't get a chance to ask you, what does it to spec out and build out these trailers, do they come pre-built like this, or is this something that you have to kinda customize, modify? And can you talk about the cost that kinda goes into that?
yeah, sure. So there's a couple different manufacturers that make these trailers. Polar King is one of them. They're kind of like the bigger company that makes these trailers. Those run. I know their prices have increased. Those run anywhere from low 40s to mid 40s, just depending on if it's a 12-foot or a 16-foot trailer.
That's brand
40,000,
new.
brand new. That's brand new. There's a couple of other companies out here on the West Coast that make an offshore version of these trailers that are probably going to be in your high 20s for these trailers, but they're made in China.
Okay.
But some people swear by them. Um, but there's other companies that are coming out that are making these trailers that I'm excited to test out because I think there needs to be something in the middle between
Yeah.
high 20s and mid 40s. Like that's a big difference.
Big range.
It's a big range, but like it's starting to get expensive too.
For
So you gotta look
sure.
at it to say, okay, well, what's my rate of return? If I buy a trailer for 45 grand, like when I'm gonna make my money back.
When do I make my money? Exactly, exactly.
And so you can make your money a lot back a lot quicker on the Chinese version. Some people swear by them, some people not as much.
Is
Um,
there a used market,
not
or
real,
do you
not
just pretty much
it's
buy
not
'em
big.
brand new?
It's not big. Again, like it's kind of a newer industry, so it's not like there's not a ton of them. Sometimes you can find them on Facebook Marketplace or maybe
Facebook or something like that, somebody selling one, but for the
yeah.
most part, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, you're gonna have trailers that are gonna be up in the north that are gonna deal with rust more often because you're dealing with salt, and these trailers aren't that great for for that type of um they do take a beating sometimes with the rust and stuff like that. I'm in Southern California. I don't deal with that, but yeah, there's a couple of other companies that are gonna be coming out with some. I think um a more of a superior trailer that's
Yeah.
gonna be more cost effective. that is going to just make more sense. And
What's the
but I,
lifespan on them? Do they have warranties? Like, how does that work?
yeah, so I use a Govee motor. There's 2 types of motors. Govee, Govi, that's a German manufacturer. Those are very good motors that I use, and those I use in all my trailers. There's another one called King Tech that some I don't have King Techs because I just want to keep everything universal with the cords and parts and stuff like that. Um, so some people are very are very loyal to them as well. Those are the Chinese version. Um, so, what was your question?
Uh, oh, I was saying, do they have, like, warranties? Like, what's the lifespan of the
Oh,
trailers
yeah, the
typically?
warranty is like a year. It's like a 1-year warranty on the motor itself. Um, but, these from my talking to other owners that have had these for a long time, there's probably about 5 or 6-year lifespan before you start to kinda have to go through a rotation of motors, but the motors themselves will cost about 5,500, somewhere around there, 5,500, 6 grand to replace a motor. So they're not wildly expensive. Um, but yeah.
So when you get the trailer, you have to then, like, retrofit the motor? Like, how does that work with the
Oh,
build out?
sorry. No, they'll come with it.
They'll come with, okay,
Yeah, they come
because you
with
said
it.
you use Govee motors, but, like, you talked about another company, so how do those 2 go together?
Yeah, so, like, if I like, Polar Kings all Polar Kings have Gobi motors with
Have
them,
Govee motor, okay,
okay?
got it.
There's another Chinese version where they'll have a King Tech motor. King Tech is the company. They have a King Tech motor in it. Or what I did was I had the the King Tech trailer with the Gobi motor in it
Yeah,
because I wanted the Gobi
you
motors.
just had the best of both worlds there, sir.
Oh, yeah, so I paid that middle range, um, and so but that was just my personal decision because I wanted all my motors to be the same.
Yeah,
That was just
makes
me.
sense,
Yeah.
especially at scale and servicing and so forth, if everything is kinda alike, it'll save you some money down the line.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, I just want everything universal, that
Yeah.
helps out, so, yeah.
Okay. So my final question is, how do we get this thing to what you have said? How many trailers now?
So I have 3 right now, and I'm looking
3?
to buy another 2 or 3 more this year.
Got it.
That's the
So
goal,
by
so
by by 2026, you'll probably have 6 or 7 trailers in the fleet.
yeah.
How does this thing become 6 or 700 trailers? How does that, or is that even something that you're thinking about? Like, what are you looking at? How do you plan to scale this business?
Yeah, so I think that with the more relationships that I have with companies, the more conversations I get of, "Well, where's your coverage at?" Right? And so I'll talk to them and say, "Why, I manage Southern California, but I also manage, Las Vegas and Phoenix and Central California." And so, eventually there's gonna be some growth in other regions, right? And so as long as the relationships stay intact and and you're performing, I just need to buy trailers and put them in certain locations, right? And just hire the right people that I can trust that can drive them and deliver them, and just kind of just maintain the light maintenance on the trailers, clean them out, just take care of certain things. So, finding a yard in a location and hiring a group of drivers that I can just bring in. I will just be taking in calls and just create geographic territories where we can build. So, you know, that's not the that's a long term that's a long term play.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, for right now, I'm building Southern California, and we're doing it. And so the next play will be start to kind of grow into other territories that make sense where I have relationships at. That's um, like I said, finding customers that it's a two-way relationship where I can help them and they can help me and stuff like that. So it's that's the goal. So talking with investors, um, growth, and just having other mentors that have had these situations in the rental industry with growth is something that I'm looking for.
Yeah,
and just trying to educate myself. And like I said, you got to have that circle of people around you that I don't know everything. Um, and I don't want to be the smartest person in the room.
right.
I need to have other people around me that have had experience. So yeah,
I,
so I'm
I, I
looking
get
for it.
I get the sense that you're not in a rush. You're taking your time and building this thing slowly. But with speed but slow at the same time. Like you're not trying to hit it out the park tomorrow, right? Like it's like let me take my time and build and get this thing to where it needs to go the right way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of these stuff, like a lot of this stuff is built on relationships. Like we know this. You know, they're gonna use people that they know, like, and trust. And so the good thing is that I've had a small um, taste of it so far, and I'm getting good feedback. And so, okay, now where can we take this? Like,
Right.
who else are we gonna start talking to? Is the conversation gonna say, "Well, I only deal with Southern California," or is the conversation gonna be, "Well, hey, where else can I? What other locations do you have?" Because if you run into it over here, you're gonna run into it over here. So like? What are you currently doing?
Right.
And so it's fact finding and gathering and just building from there. And you know what? Sometimes it's going to be those 2 month, 3 month rentals where you can sit there and you can justify buying another trailer.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just going to keep it in that location, and maybe I'm just going to start marketing my services in that location,
In
right?
that
So just
location, right? Because now you're there.
yeah. So now I'm there. So it's as long as I have the right team there, and it doesn't have to be a complex team. I need a safe place where I can store the trailer. I need capable people that can drive it and deliver it, that I can trust, and we're gonna go from there.
Is there like maybe a franchise model possible here?
I don't know, Ramel, but you got
I'm just
you
asking.
got
I'm
something up
just
your
asking.
sleeve?
Listen, I'm always interested, but
I
I
don't
mean, I just
know.
see like I see a
There's
model where maybe you're building the business, you're building the brand,
Mhm.
right? And you're getting the customers because you have these relationships that aren't easy to get, and you have these nationwide relationships with the Chick-fil-A's of the world and the McDonald's of the world and all these, restaurant chains, and then now you can go out and somebody come and say, "Hey, I wanna run this business, but I don't have those relationships." You already have them built in.
Yeah.
Maybe there's it just that's just kinda what came to mind.
Yeah, there's no, I mean, look, I'm not the only guy that does this, right? There's other companies that have multiple locations that have been successful. And so, I didn't create it. I just started doing it. And
Right.
and so there are companies that, they have locations throughout certain regions where they've been successful with, and they've done the same thing. Like, they're gonna start I have friends that, they're in Phoenix and they moved to Las Vegas. Now they have a yard in Las Vegas. Now they're moving out to Houston, and so they're gonna be building it there. And so it just kind of grows, from there. So yeah, and not, Southern California is heavily populated, but it's nice to have some other options too, where you can expand. And so, yeah, eventually that's the goal. For right now, we're going to concentrate here, and if opportunities arise from conversation, we will strongly look at those.
100%. I love it. And in my last question, why the name Cold Ass Trailers? Could you talk about that, why you decided to name the business that? And tell me what has been the response to that name?
Uh, Cold ass trailers is because it's a cold ass trailer, Ramel. It's a Let's call it what it is. I mean, it's the simplicity
Call
of
it
it. It's
what it
just a
is.
cold ass trailer. This
Yeah,
is what it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
I don't know. I wanted to have fun with it. It's a refrigeration trailers are boring. Like they're not sexy. No one sits there and is like, oh my god, these are so awesome.
These are the
Unless I'm
coolest
helping you.
cold trailers
Yeah,
ever.
yeah, so I just, it just kinda fit my personality. I wanted to have fun with it, and, I sat around the dinner table with my family, and we kinda threw some names around, and I said, "I got one for you guys." I'm like, "What about cold ass trailers?" And both my wife and my daughter, she's 9, they're like, "Oh, that's great." But it's the only time my daughter is allowed to say ass, with complete, immunity,
She gets the
And so,
ass pass, huh?
yeah, she gets ass pass. Yeah, so she's allowed to say that in that context.
Yeah.
So yeah, I decided to have fun with it. I made a logo, and it just I don't know, just kind of screwed around with it. And so this is the original logo, cold ass trailers, and it has a
Yep.
donkey on it, right?
Yep.
And so I put this logo on my trailers, and it said ass, and it was not a problem. It was not a problem for probably the first 5 or 6 months once all my trailers came back from my government contract. And then, um, within 1 week, I had 3 customers that were like, um, I can't have the word ass in my drive through. This is, and they were like, luckily the relationship was there. So they knew the name of my company. So it wasn't that they weren't calling me because of my name. And maybe some people don't do that
Right.
because of the name. I don't know. Maybe I'll find out. Maybe not.
Right. Right.
But these restaurant chains weren't calling. They knew the name of my company and they saw my website. But I think once they saw it, that it said ass, they were kind of like, that doesn't fit our company. It doesn't fit our company.
Right.
But it because of the relationships I had with these people, they felt free and comfortable to come and talk to me about it, which I greatly appreciated because they could just never use me again and just give me some BS answer. But they were like, look, I can't have this. We're gonna have to cover this up. And I felt like it bothered me because
That
now
wasn't
it's
your intention.
no, it wasn't my intention. Honestly, I didn't think I was gonna grow that fast with these corporation companies as quick as I did. And then once I started getting into these corporate companies, I was kind of like, okay, maybe I should have thought about that a little bit more. And I knew it was okay, like it's edgy, I get it, whatever. And so I talked to these 3 companies. They said, well, does the name bother you? And they're like, no, the name doesn't bother us. It's funny, it's catchy, it's marketable. Like we know the name of your company. I just can't have the word ass in my drive through. So I said, okay, well, let me rearrange some things and I will redo the logo and I'll share it with you because I want your feedback. Like if you're telling me this is an issue and you're comfortable with telling me about this, I'm going to be comfortable with you sharing my thoughts. And so
Sure.
I redid the logo and I sent it to them. I said, is this appropriate for your company? And all 3 of them said, yes, this will work. I was like, cool. But like in the meantime, I labeled all my trailers. I wrapped them all. I shot, my website, all this stuff. I invested a couple $1,000s into
Yeah.
all this
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And then I had to like tear it all out and redo it. So now the logo is just, it's not on here, but it's cold and then a donkey trailers. So it still says cold ass
Cold ass trailers.
trailers without blatantly saying cold ass trailers. So
Right.
if you're in the drive through, you're just going to see cold donkey trailers. It's not even going to, now if you look at the advertising on the side, you will see in my website and maybe it'll click that it's cold ass trailers, but it's not in your face anymore. But the reaction I get is pretty fun. It's a good conversation piece. It's an icebreaker for a lot of people, and I get a laugh out of it, and so it's been pretty well received. It's just something different and memorable, and you know, like, does it ruffle some feathers? Maybe, but I think for the most part, it's been pretty well received. And so, like, I'll go to a networking event, like, oh, there's a cold ass trailer guy. So, they don't say that to the other people.
Right. 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 Right.
So
Right.
we've had fun with it. And, again, like being a business owner, you make these ideas sometimes and you just do them. And then you kind of have to make some adjustments along the way. So was that a misfire on my part? Yeah. So I pivoted quick and changed what I needed to do and change the logo, change the wrap on my trailer. I had to redo the website. I had to redo the video. Like
Redo
I had to redo,
everything.
I had to redo everything, man. I
Yeah.
had to redo
Yeah. Yeah.
everything. But so I was kind of kicking myself, because I should have thought about it a bit more. But
Right.
whatever. I caught it quick, and just make the changes and move on.
Hindsight is 2020, man. But
That's
the
it, my
funny
friend.
thing is, like, when I read the reviews and like, it seems like they love to say the name. Like, they're writing it out, like, cold ass trailers, like, they
Yeah.
want to say it, you
Well,
know?
dude, look at my website. Like Chick-fil-A was willing to graciously, well, the owner of Chick-fil-A, one of the
Yeah.
locations in Temecula, he was willing to give me a testimonial because he's used our trailers. And,
Yes.
you know, my friends were laughing because they're like, he says cold ass trailers a lot in that video.
He
And
says it like he overly says it, like, he
I
doesn't
love
have
it.
to say
I
it
love
that
Jim
much.
Toth. Like he's awesome. He's the man, dude. He's a
Nah,
great dude.
it's one of the greatest, like, testimonies I've seen, man. Like, it's great, but he just keeps on saying cold ass trailers, like, it's like a commercial, man. I'm like, damn, how
And
much you pay this guy,
I
man?
didn't say, yeah, I didn't pay him anything. Like I just
I
asked him.
know that, but I'm saying that's what
No,
it
I know.
seems like. Like, he
But
was really like an evangelist for the company, bro.
the funny thing, well, Chick-fil-A is a Christian organization.
I know.
So, he was, to have a restaurant speak up on my behalf and make that video was great. And if you wanna check it out, you can go to coldasstrailers.com and you can
Yes,
check out the
sir.
video.
Yes, sir. We were
Um,
gonna definitely get to that,
well
but yep.
yeah, so that was he was very gracious to support my company and, um, and to help out, and I just asked if he'd be willing to do it, and he's like, "Yeah, man." And so, utilize my network with the video production company and just chopped it up and shot it up one day, and so it's great.
I love it, bro. All right, man. Well, you know what time it is, bro. You watch the show. We're coming towards the end, so we have to get your final thought, and we have to let people know where they can connect with you. So first, where can people find you at? Where are you most active? Website, LinkedIn. What's your thing? What do you do? Where you at?
Yeah, you can hit me up on LinkedIn, Cold Ass Trailers. Um, on Facebook, I can't use the word ass, so it's Cold As Trailers.
Coldest trailers. Okay.
Cold As Trailers, AS, because I tried to
Okay.
use a dollar sign and every other way to figure it out. Uh, Meta was too smart for me, so it's Cold
Right.
As Trailers, and then, Instagram is Cold Ass Trailers. My website, it's
Cold
gonna be
ass trailers.
crazy, coldasstrailers.com, and, yeah, man, I'm located here in Temecula, California, and, we're doing it, so but,
Yes, sir.
that's where you can find me.
Well, I wish you much success, man. I love what you're building. Let's give the audience a final thought, man, before you get out of here. What do you want to leave? What do you want to leave behind? Drop a jewel for us that you want to leave with the
Oh,
audience.
my knowledge. Oh, man. Um, you know, I think finding a niche type of product, type of service is I love it, man. I think you know, like, I'm providing something that a lot of you don't know you need it until you need it, and then when you need it, you're like, "Oh, I need this now," you
You need
know?
it. You
So,
need it.
I need it, and it's something that's unique, and not everybody has it, and, it's, um so getting into those niches, I think is beneficial. And so, like, if you're a company that is looking to bring on something else, another stream of revenue, or you're just looking to get into something different, you know, and maybe it's not refrigeration trailers, but just finding that niche and just sometimes just talk to people and be like, dude, what's the hardest thing you're dealing with right now in your company? And just shut up and listen because they'll talk because they want to. Now you're the therapist. I'm like, oh, I can't find this and I can't get this. I run into this all the time, and I'm sitting there like taking notes. I'm like, oh, tell me more, And so, so sometimes just asking an open ended question, be like, what's the problem that you're dealing with the most, and finding that, be that resource, just be that reliable resource, and it'll work.
I love it. Well, you know what we do around this time, Hustle fam. If you smell something burning, it's only a desire. Anthony, I appreciate you, man. This was great, bro. I appreciated learning more about you, and thank you so much for your transparency and putting the
Absolutely, man.
Hustle fam onto your secret niche, your
Ah,
secret niche. Now everybody knows about it, man.
that's
So
all
go
right.
out there and do with it what you will. Anthony was gracious enough to bless us with this information. I really appreciate you, brother, and I wish you so much success. And I know I'm gonna look back down the line, just like we talked. I think we first connected like maybe a year ago or something like that,
You
and
did,
then we connected
yeah.
again, and I already saw the growth from the first connection to the next. So I know it's gonna continue to compound, and another year or so, man, who knows where this thing will be.
I know, man. I'm excited, man. I appreciate I appreciate the platform today, and I appreciate the conversation. And like I listen to your podcast all the time when I'm like doing dishes at night, and so like that's the time where I get to listen to it. So yeah, involved in the rentals, and if anybody wants to hit me up and get some information about where to buy these things, who can I buy them from, happy to be a resource. So you can check me out online and just get with me, man. Happy to help.
Yeah, and most importantly, if you need cold storage, hit up
Yes.
Cold
Oh
Ass
yeah, that
Trailers,
part
man.
too. Yeah. If you need cold storage, and it
If
doesn't
you
have to be an
need co
emergency, it can be a planned, I need cold storage, or it could be oh shit, something went down
right,
and I need some help. Uh I can I can find some help for you. So if it's
right.
not here, it's somewhere else, and I have a growing
Anthony has
network
the
across the
network.
country.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I love it, bro. Well, thank you so much, man. It was an honor having you on the show, man. Till next time, Hustle fam, we are out. Right, y'all, listen, I'm happy to announce that we finally launched our YouTube memberships. Listen, if you want to support Truck and Hustle for all the hard work that we've been doing over the past 5 years, this is where you need to be. As a part of our memberships, number one, you'll get exclusive access to all of our archive content. Number two, we'll be doing at least one live webinar with one of the guests or somebody else from our network that you love to continue to add value to you and your business. Third, we'll be having exclusive behind the scenes content that we shoot and doesn't, make the final cut. So make sure you go check it out, get that subscription right now and join us, man. TNH forever. Let's go. All right, guys, if you love Truck and Hustle and you love the interviews and the information that we're providing week to week, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. All right, Hustle fam.